I appreciate the background in which this webinar has been born. There is presently a fear amongst many that they may be falsely framed by the police, the CBI, the vigilance, or the authorities under the NDPS Act, and so on and so forth, and may be harassed by prosecution which may end up in acquittal, either by the trial court or the appellate court. I presume the purpose of the seminar is to educate our people of their rights and the remedies under Indian law against being falsely framed. I don't want to go into the motives of the authorities to frame an innocent person. The motives may be many. But what I want to impress upon the people is our laws in India have sufficient safeguards. And we have to only trigger the safeguards. The lawyers, the parties who are affected, and the courts, and to ensure that no innocent person is framed or harassed or prosecuted and convicted. First of all, as you all know, Article 21 of the Constitution provides that every person has a fundamental right not to be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. I was very happy when I read the judgment of the Allahabad High Court, by which the Allahabad High Court quashed the arrest of Dr. Kafil Khan, who gave some speeches against the CAA. And he was arrested under the National Security Act, detained. The Allahabad High Court Division Bench quashed it and said there was nothing in the speech which called for his arrest. This is because of the fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. And the High Courts and the Supreme Court have been empowered under Article 226 and 32 to ensure that the personal liberty and life of the citizens are not taken away without procedure established by law. This is the foremost right that we have in our Constitution. Now, I may give some remedies what are available. One, as you know, a habeas corpus petition. You go there and challenge the detention or challenge the arrest, whatever it may be, and the Supreme Court or the High Court should be alert enough to scrutinize the material and come to the conclusion one way or the other. I remember I was once sitting in the Supreme Court when I was a lawyer in the court of Justice Chinnappa Reddy, and I think it was some Jagannath City. And an argument was going on. A Sikh gentleman was arguing for his friend who had been detained under the detention law. And they said, all right, what are our grounds? The only ground, he said, was that you look at the materials which support the ground of detention, they're not legible. Then how do I make a right of effective reputation? And the Chinnappa Reddy said, oh, let us have the materials that were given to you. Let me have a look at it. He looked at it and said they were not legible. And he very humorously commented that I thought only Supreme Court judges were privileged to get illegible documents, but I didn't know detainees were also being given these illegible documents. And in 10 minutes, he dictated an order and quashed the order of detention only on the ground that the right to effective representation had been affected, which was guaranteed under Article 20 of the Constitution. So this was the commitment of these judges of the Supreme Court, which was getting this kind of orders done, very, very careful in protecting the liberties of the people. Now, the other remedies that are available are in JK Bombay Limited versus Bharat Balia Mishra. This is a judgment of 2001, 2 SSC 700. Here, some family members were sought to be roped in, family members are employees of a company. IJ case for an offence under section 630 of the Companies Act. And the Supreme Court used this expression, wonderful expressions. They said the paramount object of Article 21 is to prevent the enforcement of the right of a person with respect to his right to his life and liberty, save in accordance with the procedure established by law and in accordance with the provisions thereof. Persons who are otherwise not intended to be dealt with by the criminal court cannot be roped in criminal prosecution. This is the language that the Supreme Court used. Then what is the remedy? What are the other remedies? The Supreme Court has gone ahead and said we can award compensation also. And the remedy of compensation can be obtained both from the High Court under Article 226 and from the Supreme Court under Article 30. I may give two instances where the Supreme Court has done this. One is the case of T.C. Pathak versus State of UP and others, 1995, 6 SCC 357. Here a person had been detained by the police for a few days without a good ground. And the Supreme Court said, why would you detain for 2 days? 2 days unnecessarily to pay him a compensation of 10,000 rupees. And the amount will be recovered necessarily from the police officers who are guilty of this. Another case is Mohammad Zahid versus Government of NCT of Delhi, 1998, 5 SCC 419. In this case, the Supreme Court found that a victim had undergone a prolonged illegal incarnation due to machinations of the police of the ISTB police post. And the Supreme Court directed that the Delhi government is directed to pay him compensation of 50,000. The Delhi government will be at liberty to recover the same from the erring police officers. These are two instances that I gave. I don't want to multiply these instances. Most of you know that Supreme Court has been awarding compensation in such cases. You just heard Professor Mohan Gopal mentioning the Akhetam case, which came up before us in appeal. What had happened in that case is, after the Akhetam terrorists were killed, an FIR was lodged in Gujarat, Ahmedabad police station, that let us find out who are the other persons who are involved in the conspiracy. And for about 1 year, nothing happened in that case. Suddenly, the case was transferred to their special branch or something. And then 11 persons from one community were roped in. Then, on the basis of confession recorded under Section 22 of POTA by a police officer and some materials which hardly linked them, they were convicted. 3 of them sentenced to death, and others for some punishment. Matter came up in the High Court. High Court confirmed the death sentence. And when it came before us, this is Goda and myself, we saw the materials. Oh my goodness, what is this? Only on the basis of confession under Section 22, and that too was police officer, and hardly any materials. So we quashed it. We set aside the judgment of gang. Soon thereafter, some petition was filed in the Supreme Court for compensation, but I don't know that writ petition was never allowed, and it was shifted to some other court. Now, you have heard this example of the Supreme Court while sitting in appeal. Our trial courts, in such circumstances, have vast powers. But the difficulty is the judges must feel committed towards liberty and life of citizens. Without that commitment, our trial courts cannot act in such a way as to safeguard the liberty which is their constitutional duty. You know, for rule of law to be ensured in this country, the trial courts must be active. Most of the criminal cases are taking place in trial courts. Appellate courts is next only. So the trial courts have got power to take cognizance or not to take cognizance. They should be very scrutinizing. They must scrutinize the materials very carefully before they take cognizance. Then trial courts have power to frame or not to frame charges. They should scrutinize the materials very carefully before they frame the charges, or they should let off the accused. And third, the trial courts have the power to convict accused persons. They should do it very carefully. This example of Akedam case that I gave was, why should these 11 persons have undergone all these problems? First, a cognizance. Second, a charge frame. Third, a conviction. Then ultimately, at the High Court upholding the conviction. And when the Supreme Court finds that no, there was no case, there's no reason for roping in all these 11 persons. For what? These are framing innocent persons. Right. Then we come to the other provisions, like, see, the High Court has got power under Article 482 to intervene where the trial court has not done its job in the interest of justice. And then the Supreme Court also has the power of the personal liberty and life are very important. Very important. And at no level, the courts, trial courts, High Court, Appellate Court, and the Supreme Court should decide these matters mechanically. They should apply mindfully, and wherever they think that personal liberty and life is at stake, they must intervene. Because my experience has been, you can't leave it to the police authorities. I know Mr. Justice Arjun Sikri was there on matter. We found, in the NDPS Act, I think Section 15, under which they have recorded some statements. And we found in one judgment, the Supreme Court has held, these statements are good enough. So I told Justice Sikri, do you think so? These are as bad as confession statements under Section 5 of the Evidence Act. Should that be admissible? So Justice Sikri and myself, Justice Sikri wrote the judgment. We granted bail, and we said whether a statement recorded under Section 15 by the NDPS authority would be admissible for the purpose of conviction, for the public conviction under the NDPS Act. We are in doubt. Let us refer to a larger bench. And Justice Sikri referred to larger bench. I really don't know. I left retired. I don't know what happened to that. So the courts have to be very, very alert when it comes to personal liberty. They are the best checks. You can't leave it to the police authorities. This is the situation throughout the world. As Professor Mohan Gopal mentioned, there's a book, wonderful book on rule of law by Mr. Benjamin something, I forget his name. He has given example how the US government abuses its power to send people outside the territorial jurisdiction of the US courts to areas where habeas corpus will not reach, or it will not reach, right? When they don't want that those persons should have access to the court. It's throughout the world. Persons in authority like to abuse their power, right? And it is the job of the courts to guard it, guard their liberty. That's the point I'm making. Then there are some other provisions in CRPC, like our 250 compensation for acquisition without reasonable cause. There is a provision, but very minimal compensation. Article 358 of CRPC, compensation to persons groundlessly arrested. Then in the penal code, there is a whole chapter on of false evidence and offences against public justice. 191, giving false evidence, is declared as an offence. 193 makes it punishable for 7 years and also fine. Right. But these provisions of this IPC, CRPC are not resorted. Somehow, nobody approaches this. If the provisions are resorted to by anyone who is being arrested, right, then I think a lot of law will change and there will be a lot of control on these authorities. And torts also have various remedies, law of torts. I was going through the law of torts that is applicable in India. That's GP Singh has written a wonderful book, Ratanlal Dheerajlal, Law of Torts. And he has pointed out In law of torts, we can go in for malicious prosecution, but only after acquittal. You have to establish malice. Malicious prosecution against the officers of the police also, or against the authorities. But you have to establish malice. And the doctrine of sovereign immunity does not extend to that. That also the Supreme Court has made it clear. Then malicious legal process like malicious arrest, malicious search, malicious process against property. But you have to establish malice, and then you have to show that ultimately there has been an abuse of the process of law. I will just quote the English House of Lords, Holgate Mohammed versus Duke, 1984, 1 All England Reporter 1054, where it said, an authority may be held liable for tort of misfeasance by a public officer if its action is actuated by malice, for wrongful arrest and imprisonment if the void act leads to a commission of the tort. So there are sufficient remedies, sufficient provision in the law. Under Constitution, which is a public law remedy. Under criminal law, which is a criminal law remedy. Under law of torts, which is a civil wrong remedy. Sufficient remedies. But our people have to be vigilant and must have the resources to fight to protect their liberty. You remember, I think John Locke, who said once, ultimately, liberty can be protected by the people if in their hearts, liberty is the most important thing. But if you don't prize our liberty, we don't think our liberty is precious, right? We can't protect ourselves. We have to be vigilant. We have to be alert. We have to fight for resources. And for the weaker sections, if there are some lawyers who come forward and fight, right, for their rights, nothing like it. We cannot surrender to authorities when it comes to our liberty and life. Thank you. Thank you very much.